I'm Ross with GlowShift, and today we're going to be installing a digital tach onto our 2006 Acura RSX. Before you work with anything electrical on your vehicle, you want to make sure that you disconnect the battery. You want to disconnect the negative side of the battery itself. Once you have it loosened, you can remove it and put it off to the side. Now that we're inside the vehicle, we're going to be looking for the tach signal location. You can find this in your repair manual, or you can even contact the dealer to locate your tach signal. Ours is at the ECU, which is on the passenger side underneath the glove box. You have to push the retainer in with a flat bladed tool. Once you depress the retainers, the carpet piece will pop out of place. Just move it out of your way so you can access the connectors. We're going to be using this white connector here, which is the 31 pin connector. If you look at the top row, all the way to the left, you'll notice a little 31, which is indicating that that's pin 31. You need to count over until you get to pin number 25, which is this blue wire. We've already connected our green signal wire to this blue wire using a butt connector. We've already installed the green wire and ran it up through the dash to where we're going to be installing our gauge. We're going to be installing our digital tach onto our dashboard using double-sided tape. It's going to be sitting next to our A-pillar. If you so choose, you can use the screws that are included with the digital tach. Along with the digital tach, it comes with a black sheathing. We're going to use that to cover the wire so that we can run it up into our gauge pod. We've already ran the power, the ground, and the signal wire up through the A-pillar pod, and it's coming out of the lower gauge itself. On the digital tach, there's 3 wires. There's a red wire, which is a switched 12-volt source. There's a black wire, which is a ground, and there's your green wire, which is your signal wire. On the back of the gauge, there's a cylinder selection switch, a 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, or 8-cylinder. With our vehicle, we have a 4-cylinder, so we are going to switch it to 4. You want to make sure before you move that switch, you do not have power connected to the gauge itself. What we're going to do, we're going to install the black sheathing onto the wires first. Then we're going to make our connections at the gauge pod itself. Now that we have our sheathing on the wires, we're ready to go. As you can see, we have the wires here already color coordinated. We're going to run them up and underneath the bottom of the gauge pod to make our connections, and then we're going to tuck them away inside the gauge pod. We're going to be using crimp caps in order to make our connections today. Red wire would go to the red wire, black wire to the black wire, green wire to the green wire. Now that we have the wire connections made, we're going to mount the pod to the dash using the double-sided tape. Once the pod is mounted, we're going to take our wires, feed them back into the pillar pod itself. And put the gauge back in to finish the installation. Once you have the gauge back in, you can reconnect the battery and test the gauge. Now that we've made all of our connections and we're ready to test the product, we have to reconnect the battery. Take the cable, put it back on the negative side of the battery, and tighten it with a wrench. Make sure not to over tighten the terminal because you do not want to strip it. Now that we got the battery reconnected, we're going to start the vehicle and test the gauge to make sure it's working correctly and also see our shift points. Right now we're idling in the 1100 to 1200 range, which is the idle for the vehicle. We hit the accelerator. It does register the RPMs accordingly. If you push the button and hold it, it'll go up in value. Push it twice after that and it'll go down in value. We want it to read at about 2500 RPMs. Once we have it set on 2500, we're going to bring the RPMs up to 2500 and see if the shift light will illuminate. Illuminates at 2500 RPMs on the stock tachometer as well. Once you turn off the vehicle and turn it back on, if you push the button, it'll let you know what your shift point is set at. It will remember it as long as it is hooked up correctly. Now we have finished installing our digital tach onto our RSX. If you have any questions about this product that you have seen today or about installation of this product, you can give us a call at 1-888-GS-GAUGE, or you can even visit us at our website at www.glowshiftdirect.com.